Regretting You, 2025. Regretting You, 2025. This is a romantic drama involving various straight relationships and love triangles and maybe quadrangles and other shapes. There's a fair bit of complication, but I think I managed to catch up after perhaps an early distraction. I was thinking, what's happening now? But yeah, I sort of found the early part of the film slightly confusing. I think that's just down to me and my mind perhaps wandering. I was distracted, or maybe I didn't um, get to know the characters' names well enough. So, I was trying to figure out, oh, who's that? And then, because the way films establish things and you're supposed to pay attention from the first moment, I was like, oh, I think I might have missed something, but I managed to catch up. Um, so I think it was just down to my particular headspace right at the start. It's always good to follow a film really well right from the start because it can be difficult to catch up. Um, so there was this backstory 17 years before the present day time frame, and we get to see the parents as dating couples, but with further flashbacks to explain the nuances, the more detail of what was actually going on, because of course stories are never simple. Love stories never simple. Nothing's ever very simple. Um, and the biggest early dramatic event is it's covered in the trailer, so I'll talk about it. Is a car crash, and it's not shown on screen, which I was very glad about, but it involved one of the protagonists, Morgan, her husband, and her sister. So Morgan and her, Morgan and the sister's partner. Oh gosh, Jonah. So I'll go through some of the characters. So there's Alison Williams, who plays Morgan. There's McKenna Grace, who plays her daughter, Clara Grant. And then for younger Clara, there's Aubrey Brockwell playing her. Now there's Dave Franco playing Jonah Sullivan, and Will Fitzgerald playing Jenny Davidson, who is Jonah's wife and Morgan's younger sister. And she dies. That's, I think, clear. Well, it comes out in the trailer. There's been a crash. It's like, um, and there's Scott Eastwood plays Chris, and again described in the details as Morgan's late husband, so he's obviously dead as well. So you do get to meet those characters early on, and then there's this crash, and they're no longer around, and it's like, um, I suppose this is where if I was watching on streaming, I'd have come back to double check to actually watch that bit over again, just because I was obviously not expect. I went into the film not expecting anything, and in a way, to some extent, I feel films like this, it is useful to know what's happening. So, um, I don't know. I think some romantic dramas you don't know what details to pick up on and what details to just peripheral and red herrings and will just vanish. And I find it hard to sift sometimes. And that's where I was flummoxed. And I did catch up, but there's all this stuff happening. Um, and the Clara, right, there's an early event is Morgan's birthday. This is when Chris and Jenny are still alive and they come along to the wedding. Um, and at that point, uh, Clara is late. She's 16-year-old, but she's driving and she's going to um, coming coming to the party, coming home because she lives at home. She's 16, going on 17, but um, in the countryside, she's at the city border, at the city limit. There's a sign that says Dillon. That's the name of the town or city. Um, and there's this lad called Miller. Mason Thames plays Miller Adams, and he's hitchhiking, and Clara has to decide, oh, shall I turn around and or reverse or stop and go back? And um, he's got this whole thing about wanting to move the city limit sign. He's got this bonkers idea that he he wants to order pizza for his grandfather who lives outside the city limit. So he's going to incrementally move the city limit sign. It's like I don't really get that because surely there's maps as well that show where city limits are. So just changing it, I don't know. It just seemed like a distraction, and that again was something that I was like thinking, how could that be plausible? I mean, would you move that? But it's memorable part of the narrative because I've never come across anything like that before. Where someone actually moves. I mean, it's a sign that you can actually easily pull out the ground and just with Miller along with Clara move it a little bit of the road that day, and then move it again. It's just like right. Eventually, um, the aim is that they will be able to order pizza from his granddad's place. I don't know. That was one of the. That was probably kind of made the film in a way. It was like the most interesting thing. I mean, everything else was relationship or grief and bereavement, and there's a lot of that because there's a lot of layers. Because there, most of the characters, apart from Miller, I guess, um, and Hank, who's his grandfather, but oh, and Lexi, who's Clara's friend. Sam Morellos plays her. But all the other characters are in a state of grief if they're alive because of what's happened, and it affects them all. And so a lot of the films about unraveling that, dealing with that, and also dealing with new relationships because Miller and Clara kind of might hit it off or maybe not because he's got a partner. He's got a girlfriend at the start, and they're talking about a lot about social media and all that. And it's all everyone knows whether someone's in a relationship because of their status on Instagram, of course. And I mean, actually, it was stuff like that that talk about apps and websites like Instagram that helped me pinpoint that this was actually the present day, recent years, and not because start with, I was actually thinking with the early scenes, I was thinking, oh, is this way back? Is this like the 60s, 50s? No. I was trying to figure it out from cards. I'm no good at that. Maybe the 70s, 80s? No. Well, it was only say this is the 20s that are current era, and then we go back 17 years, so we go back to the noughties, early the earliest part of the 21st century. So that's what's happening. Oh, um, and I guess it's an interesting film. I followed it well enough. It was a lot about hiding truths because of the relationships that the dead characters may have had, and Morgan protecting Claros, things like that. There's a lot of um, stuff in the cinema as well. That was one of the interesting thing I found observing because I'm there in Wood Green, 12 screen cinema, Wood Green Cineworld, and this cinema was AMC, and that was owned by Cineworld, at least it was a few years ago. And I've been to AMC cinemas in California, but this one is like 24 screens. I'm thinking, wow. I just noticed in the background it said screens, 15 to 19 and 20 to 24. And I thought, wow, that, you know, really huge multiplexes they have there. Um, so I suppose I'm just observing things, about the background as well as sort of concentrating on the stories. Um, but Miller works in the cinema. I guess that's the thing, and uh, I mean, it leads up to Clara's 70th birthday, and there's major stuff that happens then. I won't go into that because that's not in the film, but the whole story is fairly. I've seen if I haven't seen films that are exactly like this, but I've seen a lot of films that involve relationships that are complicated. All films are. And I'm minded to score this 7.5. It's just like right down the middle of watchable films, as in from 5 to 10, or 5 to 9.5, 9.75. That's my score for films that are what I deem watchable, and this is right in the middle. Um, it's okay, it's so, it's not massively something to write home about. Acting's fine. Script is mm, a few implausible bits, I guess. Um, oh, I don't know. The signpost, moving the signpost. I don't know. I can't think of much else to say. It's all right. It's. I think I'll just finish there. I'd like to know if you've seen this film. You have any thoughts? Um, uh, please. Please please hit the like if you like this film review. Uh, Thanks if you subscribe. Um, and I'll um, yeah, leave a comment on any thoughts about this film. I'd like to know other points of view because I might miss stuff. I was thinking maybe I could rewatch it just to understand it better, but I think I'll probably wait until it's on streaming sometime in the future if I do. Um, yeah, hit the notification button. I hope to see you again soon. Bye for now.